Unselfish dedication and leadership at the NCAA Division II level, and a passion for his school, his job, and his profession, these are among the characteristics that define the impressive career of our next Hall of Fame recipient. For more than 30 years, John Kean has served as SID at Missouri S&T. He's also responsible for developing and maintaining the Division II men's basketball website, the Bible of Division II basketball, and home for information about the division since 1996. Kean also served as a liaison with the National Association of Basketball Coaches Division II men's basketball poll. He did that for 17 years. He is currently serving on the CoSIDA Board of Directors as a college division representative and is a former president of D2 SIDA. We welcome CoSIDA Hall of Famer John Kean.
Well, over 31 years, I guess I piled a few of those things up, haven't I? I think, look at them from three different perspectives. One is kind of institutionally, we've had a lot of successful moments. We got to host a men's basketball regional back in 1996. We got to play in a postseason football game a few years back. The first one we got to play in over 70 years. We've had a lot of great performances by teams and student athletes over that time. So obviously to be able to tell those stories is obviously, a great, part of it. Off the field, we just in the last year, we've had an NCAA top 10 winner, today's top winner. We had an Elite 90 winner, which I didn't have as much to do with that, obviously. That was more a coach's nomination, but to be able to tell the story after he did win the award. We've had a football player that, made an NFL roster that, ended up playing the Super Bowl this year and is a rookie. So, a lot of those things, plus, we've had 97 Academic All-America selections since I've been here. We've had 6 Academic All-Americans of the Year. 6 major conference award winners, countless other awards along the way. So, and then going beyond that, having a hand in the Division II presence on the internet and the leadership throughout the last probably decade and a half, 2.5 decades, just having a chance to work with CoSIDA and the working groups there as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So, certainly a lot of things over 31 years, to really kind of highlight. I think, first of all, just the way things have evolved here at our institution. Just when I started here in 1990, we're doing stats off pen and paper, mimeograph machines. It's pretty primitive today to, where we are with, the technology today, and the way we've been able to evolve from there to now is, obviously, something we've had to develop as time's gone on. But I think as part of that, growth is, I think, having a hand in the technological advances we've made, and the internet really became a big thing in my first few years. And I think, having a hand in getting Division II more of a presence on the internet that, we start up a little bit with the D2 basketball website, and that grew into, something bigger, working with Eric Hess at SIU Edwardsville and developing the, D2 homepage, out of, Denver and Boston's conventions that, eventually we were able to use to kind of promote Division II athletics. I think that's, something I can say I've been really proud to have a hand in that, and obviously, putting our own school in there as well to, be able to put our presence out there for everybody to see. I think I would start with saying, be ready to evolve, because things change all the time. As we see, what we see now, we won't see there'll be some new things about 5 years from now that we don't know what they are yet, but we have to kind of be ready to evolve into what the new normal is, in our world. When we started in this profession, the internet wasn't even a thing yet, and within 10 years, that's kind of where we had to kind of develop our material and all that towards that, and make our presence more out there. I think I would tell, as a piece of advice to someone, I'd say play to your strengths. Know what you're good at, and don't and take advantage of those, what you can do well, and that's if you're really good in a graphics sense, definitely utilize that capabilities and abilities to really help yourself out and help out the whole process. And I think the third thing I would say too is try to and this is something even I can go back to when I was a graduate assistant, is try to learn as much as you can. You don't have to master everything, but at least have an idea of how things work, like in video production or doing radio work or stat keeping, writing, whatever it might be. Building graphics, building social media posts, things like that. Try to learn as many things as you can, because if you really build that toolbox, really I think it's very helpful. And when you want to move up in the profession, I think being able to have as many skill sets as possible, I think is very, very attractive to potential employers. Well, I think in Division II, I think we realized Roy's going to be kind of in the shadows of the, Power Fives, the Autonomy Fives, whatever you want to call them, other Division I schools in terms of our exposure and our coverage and such. But I think we have to make the most of what we have out there for us. And I think one thing that's really helped us, I think we can certainly thank a lot of conference offices for this in Division II, is the development of the online networks. You see, our conference, for instance, was one of the first ones to develop a network for online games or whatever events, whatever it might be. And I think you certainly give a lot of credit to them for developing it and taking it down that road. Now, that's the one thing that really could put us as par with everybody else. Now that we have our games out there for everybody to see. And our games are going to be on ESPN, but they'll be out there for everyone to see on the internet. It might be an ESPN3, it might be through that conference's network, or GWCSN, for instance. So certainly, it does create its own challenges, but at the same time, I think that's one thing that's put us now on a par with everybody else. And I think the other big challenge, I think, it's not just a Division II challenge, I think it is for all levels, is obviously getting adequate staffing for everything. I think that's something I know I've been working a little bit with Sam on a working group to kind of work towards, trying to find get the staffing correct for every school with the number of sports, especially when schools adding sports. And, staffing just not being able to cover everything as well as you'd like. And I think that's one of the challenges we've had along the way. And I think I can go back even to, talking earlier about memorable things, actually getting to work on some groups and working with the new executive board, working group and all that with Herb and a number of, Hall of Famers in that group as well. But I think the one that we're working on right now with Sam, and we had to kind of put it on hold when the pandemic came around. But I think one of the things we are certainly looking into is, creating a model to what is an adequate staffing setup for every school out there based on your number of sports and such. Well, it's a pretty lengthy list. I'm going to start actually with Ron Hines, my mentor from Southeast Missouri State. He's retired from there, and he took a chance on me when I was 22 years old, and getting into this profession and all that. And I hope I made him proud with what I've been able to do here over the course of my own career. So I want to start with Ron, and certainly because he gave me the opportunity to get into this profession. I certainly want to thank the administrators I've had here at Missouri S&T. I've worked with 3 director of athletics. Billy Key was the first one I worked for. He retired actually in my first year as I was here. Then Mark Mullen I had for many years. Melissa Ringhouse, my current AD. Certainly very supportive of what we do in our office and all that. And I think they certainly see the value in what athletic communications brings to an institution. All 3 of them really do. I can't say I wouldn't be here today without some help with my current and former assistants I've had in my office. I had Luke Rennie for many years in my office, Joe Gorby, my current one, Claire Johnson, Patrick Murphy, a student that worked his way up the ranks, is now in the profession, now working at Jacksonville University. Certainly without them and what they brought to the table and all that certainly, helped me get better as a, person in my own profession. So certainly got to give thanks to those, folks as well. I would certainly be remiss if I don't thank my colleagues in the Great Lake Valley Conference. Roy Pickrell is someone who, I've known for a long, long time, and like everybody has in CoSIDA. But he certainly took me under his wing a lot with, some of the stuff I worked on with Division II. And he was our first president of DIII, and I think had a hand in me getting into the leadership group as well there. I also want to, thank those I worked with in the Mid-American Intercollegiate Athletics Association. We were in that league for 15 years, before we entered the GLVC. So, I worked with a lot of colleagues over there, and a lot of them are still very good friends of mine. And also the folks in Division II, because I've worked, with people in the national office. I've worked with colleagues at other schools, and so they were very supportive of me when I was in the leadership roles and all that I've been in over the years. And I would probably catch a lot of grief for this if I don't thank my family. I think we all know this is a very challenging profession for a family with the type of hours we work and such. A lot of night events, a lot of weekend events. But my wife Lisa, my children Allison and Tyler, were very supportive through the years. When we were, going through all this, and we had one of our best basketball seasons the year my son was born, and he was born on the night of a game. So it was, I always kind of remind him of that every now and then. But certainly want to, certainly thank my family and, for all their support over the years as well. I think one thing I was certainly, happy for was, when I was been part of the board here for the last 3 years, the CoSIDA board, and, getting asked to be part of the working groups with that organization. I know we've made a big stride this year with the development of the new executive board. That was about a year-long process. We put it into play, to a vote in 2020, and it passed, very strongly within our organization. I certainly feel a little pride in, having a part in that process. And I think it's certainly something I think it really is going to be very beneficial to our organization going forward. But because I think it really gives more voice to the, various groups, divisions 2 and 3, and the NAIA and the, Canadian schools, and, really streamlines the process, whereas more of a direct line from the groups themselves to the top of the chart there. So I think, certainly having a hand in that, like I said earlier, with, with Herb running that, project and all that, I think, it's certainly, I think, going to be very, very very good for our organization going forward.
From Missouri S&T, John Kean.